There is a kind of woman the world often misunderstands. She does not announce every plan. She does not respond to every insult. She does not argue with every person who questions her value. She does not expose every betrayal, explain every decision, or chase every person who walks away. People may call her distant. They may call her weak. They may assume that her silence means she has nothing to say. But they are mistaken. Her silence is not emptiness. It is discipline. It is observation. It is self-control. It is the decision to protect her energy from conversations that cannot improve her life. She has learned that words are powerful, but words spoken without wisdom can become weapons against the person who speaks them. She understands that the more you explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you, the more opportunities you give them to distort your truth. So she becomes quiet. Not because she is defeated, but because she is finished participating in battles that have no purpose. A truly powerful woman does not need to win every argument. She needs to win her life. She understands that her future will not be created by the opinions she defeats. It will be created by the habits she develops, the boundaries she protects, the knowledge she gains, and the decisions she makes when nobody is watching. That is the secret power of silent women. They do not always tell you what they are becoming. They allow time to reveal it. Silence becomes powerful when it is guided by self-awareness. Silence by itself is not strength. A person can remain quiet because they are frightened, confused, ashamed, or unable to express what they feel. But when a woman understands herself, recognizes what is happening around her, and deliberately chooses not to react, her silence becomes evidence of emotional authority. She is no longer controlled by every insult, accusation, opinion, or change in another person's mood. She has learned that not everything deserves immediate access to her voice. Some situations require communication, but others are designed only to provoke her. Some people ask questions because they genuinely want understanding, while others ask questions so they can argue with every answer she gives. A self-aware woman learns to recognize the difference. She asks herself, will my words create clarity, or will they create another cycle of confusion? Is this person willing to listen, or are they simply waiting for another opportunity to attack? Am I speaking because it is necessary, or because my emotions are demanding instant release? These questions protect her from impulsive decisions. Many people lose their power because they react before they understand. Someone says something disrespectful, and they answer immediately. Someone withdraws attention, and they begin chasing. Someone misunderstands them, and they write long messages trying to correct every false assumption. But emotional reactions often reveal more than wisdom intended to share. When you answer from anger, you may expose your deepest insecurities. When you speak from fear, you may make promises you cannot keep. When you respond from loneliness, you may reopen doors that should remain closed. Self-awareness creates a pause between what happens to you and what you choose to do next. Inside that pause is your power. A woman who knows herself does not deny her emotions. She does not pretend that disrespect does not hurt or that rejection does not disappoint her. She feels deeply, but she does not allow every feeling to become an instruction. She may feel angry without becoming cruel. She may feel rejected without begging to be chosen. She may feel misunderstood without explaining herself endlessly. She may miss someone without returning to a relationship that damaged her peace. That is emotional maturity. Your feelings deserve acknowledgement, but they should not automatically control your direction. An emotion can provide information without being given authority. Anger may tell you that a boundary was crossed. Sadness may reveal that something mattered. Fear may warn you to examine a situation carefully, but wisdom must still decide the response. The self-aware woman studies her own patterns. She notices what triggers her. She recognizes when an old wound is influencing a new decision. She understands that sometimes she is not reacting only to what happened today. She is reacting to years of being ignored, abandoned, criticized, or made to feel inadequate. Instead of blaming everyone else for her emotional state, she takes responsibility for healing what belongs to her. This does not mean she excuses bad behavior. It means she refuses to let another person's actions become the permanent ruler of her inner world. She understands that healing is not simply avoiding difficult people. Healing is becoming so aware of your own needs, values, weaknesses, and boundaries that manipulation can no longer enter through places you refuse to examine. People often take advantage of what you are afraid to confront within yourself. If you are terrified of abandonment, someone may control you by threatening to leave. If you depend completely on approval, someone may control you by withholding praise. If you are ashamed of your past, someone may control you by threatening to expose it. If you believe being alone means being unworthy, you may tolerate almost anything to preserve a relationship. Self-awareness brings these hidden fears into the light. A woman begins saying, yes, I am afraid of losing people, but I will not lose myself to keep them. Yes, I desire love, but I will not purchase it with my dignity. Yes, rejection hurts, but it cannot determine my value. When she reaches that level of understanding, silence becomes a shield against unnecessary manipulation. She no longer needs to defend herself against every rumor. She knows that character cannot be proven through endless arguments. She no longer feels compelled to respond to every person who misjudges her because she understands that some people are committed to their version of the story. Let them keep it. Your responsibility is not to force every mind to see you correctly. Your responsibility is to live with enough integrity that the truth of your life becomes stronger than the noise surrounding it. However, wise silence must never become an excuse for avoiding necessary communication. A self-aware woman knows when speaking is required. She addresses problems before resentment grows. She communicates her needs clearly. She asks questions. She admits when she is wrong. She seeks help when silence would protect injustice or allow harm to continue. Her power is not found in never speaking. Her power is found in knowing when to speak, what to say, and when to stop. She does not use silence to punish people. She does not withdraw affection to create anxiety or force someone to chase her. That is manipulation, not maturity. Her silence is not a game designed to control others. It is a disciplined decision to protect peace, gather understanding, and prevent temporary emotion from creating permanent consequences. The more she understands herself, the less easily she can be provoked. People may still criticize her. They may still misunderstand her. They may still attempt to pull her into pointless battles, but they no longer control the timing, tone, or direction of her response. She chooses. That ability to choose is real power. You do not become powerful by answering everything. You become powerful when your words and actions are governed by purpose. Learn yourself. Study your emotions. Recognize your wounds. Understand your values. Then let your silence come from clarity, not fear. When a woman knows who she is, silence no longer makes her invisible. It makes her unshakable. Quiet confidence begins when a woman stops asking the world for permission to believe in herself. She no longer measures her value by how many people praise her, choose her, notice her, or agree with her. She understands that public approval is unstable. The same people who celebrate you when you meet their expectations may criticize you when you begin protecting your peace. Therefore, a wise woman builds her confidence on something deeper than attention. She builds it on character. She builds it on discipline. She builds it on the promises she keeps to herself when nobody is watching. Many people appear confident because they speak loudly, display everything, and constantly announce their achievements. But real confidence does not need to perform every day. A woman who knows her worth can enter a room without demanding that everyone recognize it. She does not compete for attention because she understands that being noticed and being valuable are not the same thing. Attention can disappear. Beauty can be criticized. Popularity can change, but character remains. When your identity depends entirely on validation, you become emotionally controlled by other people. A compliment can lift you, but one negative comment can destroy your entire day. Acceptance makes you feel powerful, but rejection makes you question everything about yourself. That is emotional dependence. Quiet confidence breaks that dependence. It says, I appreciate encouragement, but I do not need applause to continue. It says, I value relationships, but I will not abandon myself to keep one. It says, I can be misunderstood without becoming uncertain about my values. A confident woman does not feel compelled to explain every decision. She recognizes that some people ask questions because they genuinely want understanding, while others question her because they want authority over her choices. She learns the difference. She may listen respectfully, but she does not allow every opinion to become an instruction. Not everyone who speaks into your life has earned the right to direct it. Some people advise you according to their own fears. They tell you not to try because they never tried. They tell you to settle because they settled. They criticize your standards because your standards expose what they have tolerated. Listen carefully, but decide wisely. Quiet confidence also gives a woman the strength to handle rejection without chasing. She understands that another person's decision does not determine her entire value. Someone may fail to appreciate her because they lack the maturity, capacity, or compatibility required to recognize what she offers. Rejection may hurt, but it does not have to define her. She allows herself to feel the disappointment, but she does not beg to remain where she is unwanted. She does not send endless messages trying to prove that she deserves love. She does not reduce her standards to make herself easier to choose. She knows that being chosen by the wrong person is not victory. Sometimes the greatest protection is not receiving what you desperately requested. Sometimes a closed door saves you from an environment that would have slowly destroyed your confidence. Sometimes the person who walks away creates space for you to rediscover the parts of yourself you neglected while trying to satisfy them. A woman with quiet confidence does not treat every ending as a personal failure. She asks, "What can this teach me? What truth did this experience reveal? What must I strengthen before entering my next chapter?" That is how pain becomes education. She also stops advertising every achievement to people who never supported the process. She does not need to prove that she is succeeding. Her life will eventually reveal what her discipline has produced. When you depend on praise, you may begin working for recognition rather than purpose. You may choose what looks impressive instead of what is meaningful. You may remain exhausted trying to maintain an image. But the silent woman asks a different question. Am I becoming the person my purpose requires? That question brings her back to substance. She develops skills. She strengthens her emotional intelligence. She manages her time. She becomes responsible with money. She studies. She heals. She learns to enjoy her own company. Every small act of discipline becomes evidence that she can trust herself. Confidence is not created by repeating beautiful words while continuing to betray your own standards. It is built when your actions agree with what you claim to believe. When you say you deserve respect, but continue accepting repeated humiliation, your mind becomes confused. When you say you value your peace, but constantly return to chaos, your confidence weakens. Self-belief grows through alignment. Say what you mean. Honor your limits. Keep your commitments. Walk away when disrespect becomes a pattern. The more you demonstrate that you will protect yourself, the less desperate you become for someone else to rescue, approve, or complete you. This does not mean you become cold or isolated. Quiet confidence allows you to love more wisely because your relationships are no longer built on desperation. You can appreciate someone without making them the source of your identity. You can receive love without becoming dependent on it for your worth. A woman becomes powerful when she can say, "I want you in my life, but I will not lose myself to keep you there." That is not arrogance. That is emotional responsibility. Stop asking people to confirm what your character should already be teaching you. You are not valuable because everyone recognizes you. You are valuable before the applause, before the relationship, before the achievement, and before the world understands what you carry. Stand quietly in that truth. Let your discipline speak. Let your boundaries speak. Let your peace speak. Let your results speak. You do not have to announce your worth when you have finally learned how to live according to it. Not every accusation deserves your defense. Not every insult deserves your attention. Not every person who misunderstands you deserves an explanation. One of the greatest lessons a woman can learn is that her emotional energy is valuable, limited, and necessary for the life she is trying to build. Many women become exhausted because they spend too much time responding to things that do not deserve a response. They answer every disrespectful message. They correct every rumor. They explain every boundary. They enter arguments with people who are not searching for truth, but searching for a reaction. You must learn to recognize the difference. Some conversations are designed to create understanding. Other conversations are designed to drain you. Some people ask questions because they want clarity. Others ask questions because they want another opportunity to challenge your reality, weaken your confidence, or pull you back into confusion. Wisdom knows when to speak. Wisdom also knows when to stop. Silence becomes a form of protection when communication has already failed. You may have expressed your feelings honestly. You may have explained what hurt you. You may have requested respect, consistency, or accountability. But if the same behavior continues, repeating yourself may no longer be communication. It may become self-abandonment. You do not have to keep proving that your pain is real. You do not have to present another argument for why you deserve dignity. You do not have to convince someone to respect a boundary they clearly understand but repeatedly choose to violate. A boundary is not a long emotional speech. A boundary is a decision supported by action. It says, I will not remain in conversations where I am being insulted. Then you leave the conversation. It says, I will not continue giving access to someone who repeatedly betrays my trust. Then access changes. It says, I will not sacrifice my peace to maintain a connection that survives only when I remain silent about what hurts me. Then you choose yourself. Your boundary does not require everyone's agreement. People who benefited from your lack of limits may call you cold, selfish, arrogant, or difficult when you finally protect yourself. Do not let their reaction confuse you. Someone can dislike your boundary while your boundary remains necessary. Someone can feel disappointed while your decision remains healthy. Someone can misunderstand your silence while your silence continues saving your emotional strength. Your peace does not require unanimous approval. A wise woman understands that attention is a form of investment. Whatever you continue thinking about receives a portion of your life. Every hour spent replaying an insult is an hour that cannot be used to develop your purpose. Every day spent watching someone who hurt you is a day in which they still occupy the center of your mind. You may have removed them from your life, but if they control your thoughts, they still possess access. This is why silence must happen internally as well as externally. It is not enough to stop sending messages while constantly checking whether they noticed. It is not freedom if you remain obsessed with whether they miss you, regret losing you, or fear your absence. Your silence is not a strategy to make someone chase you. It is a decision to stop chasing emotional chaos. Real silence does not ask, how are they reacting? Real silence asks, what am I building now that my energy is no longer being wasted? Redirect your attention. Return to your goals. Strengthen your health. Improve your skills. Reconnect with trustworthy people. Develop your financial stability. Deepen your faith. Create routines that restore your mind. Every time you refuse an unnecessary argument, you preserve strength for something meaningful. But silence must never become fear. There are moments when you must speak. You must communicate boundaries clearly. You must address serious concerns involving safety, work, family responsibilities, legal matters, or injustice. Silence is not wisdom when it protects wrongdoing or prevents necessary action. The goal is not to become voiceless. The goal is to become intentional. Speak when your words can protect, clarify, teach, or create progress. Remain silent when your words would only feed provocation, drama, or manipulation. This discipline gives your voice greater power. When a woman speaks about everything, people may stop listening, but when she chooses her words carefully, her voice carries weight. Her silence communicates that she will not be pulled into every emotional battle. Her calmness reveals that other people no longer control her behavior. She does not need to shout to prove that she is strong. She does not need to insult anyone to prove that she has standards. She does not need to threaten people with her absence. She simply changes her participation. That is maturity. Protecting your energy is not selfish. Your energy is connected to your responsibilities, relationships, health, creativity, and purpose. When you allow people to drain you constantly, everyone and everything meaningful in your life receives what remains. Stop giving your best strength to your worst situations. You are not created to spend your entire life defending yourself before people determined to misunderstand you. You are created to build, serve, grow, love wisely, and fulfill meaningful responsibilities. Let your silence close doors that arguments could never repair. Let your boundaries teach people how access to you must be handled. Let your actions communicate what your repeated explanations could not. Your greatest victory is not having the final word. Your greatest victory is protecting your peace, preserving your strength, and continuing forward without allowing unnecessary conflict to become the center of your life. A silent woman does not win by defeating everyone around her. She wins by refusing to waste her life in unnecessary competition. She understands that not every person is her rival, not every opinion deserves her attention, and not every challenge requires a public response. Her greatest competition is the woman she was yesterday. While others are announcing their plans, she is developing the discipline to complete hers. While others are chasing attention, she is building knowledge, emotional strength, financial stability, healthy routines, and a meaningful future. Her silence is not inactivity, it is concentration. Many people talk about what they are going to accomplish because talking creates temporary excitement. They receive praise before doing the work, and that praise can create the illusion of progress. But the silent woman understands that intentions do not transform a life. Consistent action does. She does not need everyone to know what she is building. She protects her goals from careless opinions, unnecessary criticism, and people who cannot understand the vision placed inside her. She shares important plans with trustworthy people who can provide wisdom, support, accountability, or useful guidance. She does not hand her future to every person who asks a question. Privacy allows her vision to grow without interruption. A seed develops beneath the ground before anything becomes visible. Nobody applauds the seed while it is forming roots. Nobody celebrates the pressure, darkness, and patience required before it breaks through the soil. But invisible growth is still growth. Your preparation may also be invisible. No one may see the hours you spend studying. No one may notice the money you are saving. No one may understand the emotional work involved in healing old wounds. No one may applaud when you choose discipline instead of distraction. Do not become discouraged because your progress is not yet public. You are not working merely to appear successful. You are developing the ability to carry success responsibly when it arrives. A silent woman knows that attention and achievement are not the same thing. Some people are highly visible but poorly prepared. They know how to attract an audience, but they have not developed the character, knowledge, or consistency required to sustain what they receive. She wants more than recognition. She wants capacity. She strengthens herself in private so that opportunity does not expose weakness she refused to address. She improves her communication, develops useful skills, manages her resources wisely, protects her health, and learns from failure. She does not wait for confidence before taking action. She understands that confidence grows when she repeatedly keeps promises to herself. Every completed responsibility strengthens her identity. Every difficult decision builds courage. Every distraction she refuses increases focus. Every boundary she maintains protects her future. Her life changes because her habits change. She also refuses to compete with other women for validation. Another woman's beauty does not reduce hers. Another woman's success does not remove her possibilities. Another person being praised, promoted, chosen, or celebrated does not make her invisible. Insecurity turns other people's achievements into personal threats. Wisdom turns them into evidence that growth is possible. The silent woman can admire without becoming jealous. She can learn without becoming intimidated. She can support another woman without believing that kindness makes her smaller. She knows that purpose is not a limited resource. Someone else fulfilling their assignment does not prevent her from fulfilling her own. When comparison tries to distract her, she returns to her own path. She asks, "What must I improve? What responsibility am I avoiding? What skill does my next level require? What can I do today that will move my life forward?" These questions produce growth. Constant comparison only produces anxiety. She is not trying to become better than everyone. She is committed to becoming more disciplined, aware, capable, and responsible than she used to be. That is a competition worth winning. Her silence also protects her from explaining every stage of her development. People may misunderstand her distance. They may think she has become arrogant because she is no longer constantly available. They may accuse her of changing because she no longer participates in gossip, confusion, or unhealthy relationships. And they are correct. She has changed. She has learned that time is valuable. She has learned that emotional energy is limited. She has learned that every environment influences the direction of her life. She no longer remains where her purpose is constantly distracted, her confidence is repeatedly attacked, or her values are pressured to become smaller. She does not argue about her growth. She demonstrates it through her choices. She understands that results speak more clearly than promises. A peaceful life speaks. Financial discipline speaks. Emotional stability speaks. Healthy relationships speak. Consistent character speaks. The woman she becomes will eventually explain the season in which she was quiet. But she does not build merely to shock people who doubted her. Revenge is too small a reason to transform your life. When your motivation depends on proving others wrong, those people still control your direction. Build because your gifts deserve development. Heal because your heart deserves peace. Study because ignorance can limit your opportunities. Save because financial responsibility creates options. Set boundaries because your future cannot grow inside constant disorder. Her greatest victory is not watching someone regret underestimating her. Her greatest victory is becoming so committed to her purpose that their opinion no longer matters. She wins when loneliness cannot force her back into destructive relationships. She wins when criticism cannot make her abandon a healthy decision. She wins when praise cannot make her forget her values. She wins when temporary emotion cannot control permanent choices. This is why her silence is powerful. It gives her space to work without performing, heal without announcing, learn without pretending, and grow without asking permission. One day, people may look at her life and believe her transformation happened suddenly. They will not see the private sacrifices, quiet tears, difficult boundaries, repeated failures, disciplined mornings, and lonely decisions behind the result. But she will know. She will know that her life changed when she stopped competing for attention and started preparing for purpose. She did not win because she spoke the loudest. She won because she worked when nobody was watching, remained faithful when progress was slow, and refused to abandon the woman she was becoming.